like, why are you setting me up to have this, like, expectation that maybe something could be different? I like how you're already calling yourself the crazy nosy. You're like, yep, that's me.
Hey, that's gonna be me.
That whole scenario just pissed me off.
In the show, it did show that. Be careful, I bite. Because, yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Was that too much?
No, I mean, he did what needed to be done. He did what should have been done.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Thought for Thought.
I like how we had like two different tones. I'm like, welcome back. You're like, welcome back. I mean, I guess.
I mean, if we have to. But,
welcome back, guys, to Thought for Thought. That's
THOUGHT.
not THOT.
Just to
It kind of
clarify.
sounded like you were thinking about how to spell it. You're like, THOUGHT.
I felt like I was like in a 4th grade spelling bee, dude, and I was like, oh my god, I'm sweating.
Spell
Fabulous.
quintessential.
Or independent. INDEPENDENT. INDEPED.
Pendant.
Okay, INDEP.
ENDENT. Do you know what that means? Oh my god,
Oh
Cindy.
wow, that was such a struggle.
Oh my god.
But how have you been
You fucked me over.
since I've last seen you?
I've been good. Yeah.
Nothing new.
I don't want to share my personal problems on here, but just kidding. I don't have much. Just anyways. Yeah, it's been good. I've been rewatching Modern Family.
Oh, you got me into that. I'm already on season 2.
I know, I saw that.
Yeah.
Every time I try and play it, it takes me back to where you are.
See,
So
every
I
time
have to
I try to
stop.
play it, it takes me back to where you are. So then I'm like, okay. And then
I know,
I forget
I-
what episode I'm on because it's like, it doesn't tell me.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like a guessing game every time. And I'm like, oh, wait, I just saw that. So I have to skip like 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, so I was rewatching that, and me and Matt were watching the X-Men movies.
Oh.
We're on X-Men número 2. We haven't finished it though. And then I did make him watch High School Musical, and what else did I make him watch?
Are you going to make him watch the 2nd and 3rd one?
Oh, and I made him watch Hocus Pocus too.
He hasn't seen it yet? Well, now he has.
Now he has, yeah. It was me and his mom and him.
Did he like it?
He liked it.
Man.
You didn't. I still can't believe you didn't like it.
I know, dude.
Honestly, like, I liked it.
I'm surprised that I
can't
didn't
say.
like it. I'm surprised. I'm just going to be honest.
I get it. I mean, I get it because there was missed opportunity, but I also think it was good.
It was good. I think I'm just being a little too harsh.
I think so.
Yeah. I've just been watching,
It's like, why don't you go and act and do it yourself then?
because I don't want to. That's just hard. I can barely spell
I
fucking
know.
independent, let alone like recite lines.
Yeah. So yeah, we did that. He was miserable during High School Musical, so that was awesome. Yeah, it was so fun.
Such a great show. Movie.
Yeah.
What, a
What about you?
disappointment. Nothing much. Been a rough couple days.
I know. Same.
Been a rough couple
Oh,
days.
we went to the Renaissance Fair.
I know, for
Why
the
does
first
that-
time ever.
Why does that feel like
Months ago.
weeks ago?
I know. It was literally just, what?
A couple days ago?
2 days ago?
Yeah.
3 days ago? That was fun.
Yeah, we went to the Renaissance Fair and we got
With
a
big
whole
effing nerds.
bunch of stuff. Yeah, with the big and big and big effing nerds. Yeah, so that was fun. Are you scratching your butt?
I'm scratching my thigh. It hurt.
Girl, that's your butt. That's not your thigh.
It's like my thigh. Okay, listen.
That's your butt.
It's like the meaty side. It's
That's your
butt. I don't.
All right.
Oh man.
All right, moving on.
So what are we talking about today?
So as we promised from episode 2, we're actually gonna do a part 2 of the Dahmer series because we went back and listened to the first episode, and we just feel like we didn't cover the full series, and we kind of rushed it halfway. So we're gonna cover that, and yeah, and then towards the end, or even throughout the episode, we'll just kind of fact check and see what was accurate, what wasn't from the series, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
And I believe based on episode 1 of our podcast, we kind of ended off or covered episode 5, and then we kind of just rushed and
went straight to Hocus Pocus 2.
Like, yeah. So this episode we're gonna just go from episode 6 to episode 10, and really there's not a whole lot. I mean,
not really. I feel like we got bits and pieces of those episodes just because we were like rushing to get through it.
Yeah, I think we already kind of overall talked about the main stuff, kind of, but we didn't really break down exactly
kind of what happened after.
And what our thoughts were on that. So that's why we're here. Yeah, so next week we're going to talk about a book. And this book is, you guys, it's not going to be steamy, or at least I don't think it is. We haven't read it.
It's like a YA. It's very...
Okay, yeah. So we haven't read it, but yeah, it's not going to be as spicy as last episode, because last episode, girl, Cynthia was red as a fucking tomato. That's all I got to say. As red as her lipstick today.
Oh, God. My face literally felt like it was on fire, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of crazy. I could barely listen to it back because the whole time I was just getting secondhand embarrassment.
Oh, no.
And I literally begged my boss. Fine. I was like, please don't listen to it.
I know, my boss, well, he's not my boss anymore, but anyways, my friend.
Your acquaintance.
No, my friend. He was like, I told him, I was like, oh yeah, episode 2 is coming out, because he checked out the first episode.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah, episode 2 is coming out this week, or it came out. And he's like, oh, I'm going to listen to it. I was like, please don't. I'm like, please don't, like, because we met in a professional setting, so I don't want to ruin that, and be like, oh, now he knows what I read, or like, what I'm into.
Every time he looks at you, he's going to be like, Vanessa and her porn.
Oh no. Yeah. But he's been very, you know what? He was very supportive about it. So I was like, that is so sweet. Because, yeah, he was my boss before, and then we're kind of co-workers now. But yeah, so Pedro was very supportive, and he was listening into the first episode. So that was nice. But yeah.
But yeah, the next book's going to be more of like I guess it's like a mystery, maybe a murder mystery. We don't know. Because the whole premise of the book, or like on the back of it, is just saying how there's a missing person. And it's just trying to figure out what happened to...
It was her old friend, right?
Yeah,
her
it's
friend,
her
main
like best friend. I guess they had like some sort of issue. Like a falling out the summer before, and then she's going back to like her hometown. And she ends up finding out that her friend's missing, doesn't know what happened to her. Nobody knows what happened. Like, they're still looking for her. I think it's like 6 months later or something.
Yeah.
Trying to find her. So I think the whole book is just trying to figure out, like, 1, what happened to her, and 2, if she's even still alive.
And I think in the process of all that, there's like some secrets that come up from the town itself. So, yeah. I mean, I haven't started it, but I'm interested to get it started. And
it's good so far.
And hopefully, we have some juicy stuff. Not spicy, but like juicy, like, interesting things that happen.
Well, I'm excited to see.
Or read.
Well, in my head, when I'm reading, I see like a...
Yeah, you're right.
Almost like it's like a movie playing in my head.
Imagination.
Okay, do the little rainbow hands. Like SpongeBob.
All right, let's get into this before we lose track.
And before Michael E. Texas.
Yeah, because we're kind of just talking about the book now. All right. Anyway, so going back to the Dahmer series. Quite honestly, it's been a while since I've watched it. Since our first episode, even like a week or two before that. So we're going to kind of pull up our notes and see, what happened.
I know, it's been almost a month.
Yeah. What do you remember from episode 6? That was the episode that everyone was talking about, because that's when they introduced Tony, who was also one of the one of Dahmer's victims, obviously.
Yeah.
But
that one hit hard, I think.
And I think they did that to obviously make the audience feel for him and also create that sense of hope of maybe, you know, he can fix them in a way, you know, and kind of give you that piece of hope. And then obviously rip it apart
Yeah.
when that happens. But yeah, Tony was an aspiring model, right? He wanted to be a model. He was deaf, and I think he moved to
Milwaukee,
yeah, to become a model or see what he can find. So that was Tony. They did go back all the way up to the point where he was born. So that was kind of interesting, like how they went even from the beginning and seeing how his mom had to find out that he was deaf from, you know, since he was a baby.
Yeah. So, I feel like, oh man, that episode just altogether made me... I think that's the episode that I cried the most in.
And you know what's interesting? It was the one where there was like barely any talking.
I know.
Like it was, and the title of the episode is called Silenced. So that was interesting because it was like the most, like you said, emotional episode, yet the, you know, the episode with less words.
But I think it's all because of like they did a really good job emoting with their expressions.
Yeah.
And like showing
and
how think, much they loved each other.
Yeah, and I think Tony was honestly like a breath of fresh air, you know, throughout the whole season, because this is, you know, halfway through the season, right? So like the first half of the season is like so dark and fucked up, and you know, all this fucked up shit that Dahmer did, and then starting that 6th episode is when you start to meet Tony, and he's like this, you know, positive attitude. And, you know, obviously we know, like, becoming a model, becoming an actor or singer, it's a competitive industry. So it's hard. And he's always been always positive about, you know, like, I'm going to make it. One day I'm going to make it. And, like, the whole time he was so, like, happy about it. Like, he honestly reminded me of Ryan.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, see, we need people like this in our lives, you know, that, like, or in this world, that are always like positive and happy and just try and, you know, bring that vibe to everyone else.
Well, that inspire you to, you know, do more.
Yeah.
And, like, don't give up. Like, what I really liked
is like you have a choice.
Yeah. He kept persevering, but despite his obstacles, you know? And you just see the...
I'm sorry. I was trying to drink from...
I feel like if anything, though, if I'm being honest, I think that episode, even from the beginning, made me the most depressed because, like, kind of like what you said, like, you kind of have that hope that maybe something would be different, but you know it's not gonna, gonna happen. You know that he's gonna die.
Yeah.
So the whole time you're just kind of like, you're like, why are you setting me up to have this, like, expectation that maybe something could be different, just for it to kind of have it all ripped from under you.
Yeah.
Even though you know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And just to see that, like, he was the one person that, like, I mean, who knows if it's true or not, because, like, I think you told me that their relationship wasn't as close.
Intimate as they made it sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder...
I mean, that's from what I read in an article. I don't remember which one it was, though. But yeah, so another thing was, like, you also were able to see kind of a different perspective of Dahmer, in the sense that you see that he's really trying to, you know, be caring for him and show that sort of, like, I don't know, what is it, like, sympathy? Not really. I don't know, but he was more caring with his victim. I mean, I guess he wasn't a victim during that time, but, like, and he showed a lot of, you know, like, you would hear him when he was trying to leave that night where he got killed. He was trying to leave. Tony was trying to leave just to go to work or something, or go back to Milwaukee, but he said he was going to come back.
Yeah.
And at that moment, like, Dahmer was kind of like, don't leave me. Like, you're gonna leave me. And you know, it goes all the way back to his parents. Like,
Gave me flashbacks to that moment.
So you kind of see that side of him is what I meant to say. Like, you see that side of him that's, you know, kind of vulnerable in a way and afraid.
Well, almost like
that someone's going to leave him.
Yeah, suffering from like his past traumas with like his abandonment, you know?
Yeah, because most of the time with other victims, it's just like, he's just kind of like in go mode. He's just kind of doing things, and you don't really see any emotion with it. It's more like
he's a predator,
fucked up, creepy predator type of way. And with Tony, you actually see him like trying to be in a relationship, trying to like actually have Tony like him, you know, and be nice to him. So that was interesting. But again, I think that aspect of that episode wasn't real, because from what I read somewhere, he wasn't as intimate with Tony as they made it seem in the series. That it was mainly just for the...
I wonder why they chose Tony then. Or if that was just like a...
That's a good question. Should we look it up?
Yeah, because I'm wondering if maybe they could have done that with any of the other victims, or if they chose him for like a specific reason. Well, he was 31. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Oh, see, he was murdered that same night. So, I mean, I guess you can say that maybe they did kind of bond in a way, like that night where like they kind of got along.
Yeah.
But I guess it didn't turn out to be as long as they made it look like in the show.
They made it seem like it was weeks or like days.
Days. Yeah, but I guess he was killed that same night.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't made out the way it was done in the series. So it was like many things in the show. It was just mainly for the purpose of the show itself.
For like dramatic
same
effect.
with like the whole Glenda Cleveland being like the next door neighbor. Obviously she actually wasn't. She was living in the like different building. Wasn't even like next to him. But I did see that I forgot her name, Pamela something, I think. She was his next door neighbor, and I guess they were saying because he admitted that he gave out sandwiches that with suspicious meats or something, and she said that he gave her one time. He never gave one to Glenda, but he did give one to that next door neighbor that he did have.
Yeah.
Which I think her name was Pamela, if I'm not mistaken.
I read that he gave, I think, a lot of tenants that were living in those apartments, like, from their words, strange meats.
Yeah.
So they're not even sure, but they assume that, you know, well, after finding out everything, that it's possible that he did give them.
Like, I wouldn't doubt it.
Human remains. Oh man, I think I'd be kind of like triggered after that, just to like, I couldn't see anything that had to do with like cannibalism.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would just stick with you, like the possibility, like what if? Did I? Was it? Most likely, but you know, you're never gonna know.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was mainly episode 6. They did, obviously, he did end up killing Tony. It kind of makes me question, like, how it all went down then, because if it happened that same night, you know, obviously it wasn't the way it was done in the show, right? Because they made it sound like Dahmer killed him because when he came back for his keys, right, after he had just left, because Dahmer was going to let him go, right? He's like, oh, you're going to leave me? And then he did end up leaving him, but he promised that he would come back. And then he left. But then he fucking forgot his keys. So he came back to the apartment to look for his keys. And that's when Dahmer was like, well, now he's back and I'm not letting him go.
So I wonder if maybe that's how it kind of played out then.
Well, but if it was that same night?
Well, maybe what I'm saying is like maybe when they were at the club, they did kind of have like an initial attraction. Maybe he let him go, but maybe he came back and...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, was that even a fact? You know, him actually being able to leave after first saying, I'm out.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That maybe that is a possibility. Or maybe it played out the way he did with the other ones, where just put on a movie and then just kind of just, you know, ended it right there.
Yeah. I keep doing...
right into the microphone.
Sorry. I'm just like... Sorry. ASMR.
How does episode 7 start off?
Well...
Because I think episode 6 just ends with...
For my notes here, I kind of like just zoomed through each episode to kind of remind myself like, oh, this is where this happened, and you know.
Mm-hmm.
But from episode 7, it was mainly going back to Glenda Cleveland and kind of the nights that she went through when she would smell or hear what was going on. Which again, you know, at this point I'm kind of like, well, is that even true? Probably not. But who knows? Maybe the other chick did hear it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was wondering that too, because in something that I read, it said that the neighbor that was across in the other building, she was able to smell.
Well, no,
like the bodies. So I wonder if like
no, I know like
when he dumped it in the alleyway, like maybe.
Yeah, because everyone was complaining about it, and even Glenda was as well. But what I'm saying is like, you know how there were nights in that episode where they made it seem like Glenda was going to sleep and she can just hear like, you know, the cutting of the body parts and stuff like that.
Or just people screaming help.
Or yeah, screaming the help and all that stuff. And obviously I think that was mainly to, you know,
for dramatic effect.
Exactly. So, but I mean, hey, does it mean that other chick, Pamela, whatever,
probably didn't.
I don't even know if that's her actual name, but I'm going to call her Pamela.
Pam.
The actual next door neighbor of Jeffrey Dahmer. But I'm pretty sure she probably fucking heard it.
I'm sure a lot of people did.
She fucking smelled it as well. But I think the reason why Glenda was so much more known, or, you know, why she's in the show mainly, is because she was very loud about it. You know, like, I called this many times, I did this. Like, she was always known as, like, I guess people thought of her like that crazy nosy neighbor, but it's like,
sometimes
that's okay. That is okay. You know what? One day you're gonna thank me.
I like how you're already calling yourself the crazy nosy. You're like, yep, that's me.
That's gonna be me. But yeah, so that's what mainly that episode was about, and also the pastor. Is there a difference? I don't know.
Not that I know of. I mean, I'm sure there is. There definitely is.
I'm not religious, so I don't know. Or I mean, at least I haven't gone to church in like decades.
I can't speak on it that much. I should be. My parents make me pray every day, but that doesn't mean I keep up with it.
Okay, well, I have to remember his name. Oh, he was a minister.
Another thing, I don't. Okay, now we got priest, pastor, minister.
I'm sorry, you guys. If you guys know the difference between priest, minister,
and a pastor,
let us know.
Anything
DM
else?
us.
Is there something else?
There's a lot that we don't know. But yeah, his name was Roy Ratcliffe. So he was an American Christian minister and author, best known for ministering to serial killer Dahmer in prison. Wait, no, that's not him. Is it?
Is it the one that baptized him?
No, not him. The one that oh my god, what was his name? He was, you know what I'm gonna do? So I was saying in episode 7 or 7, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, Reverend Jackson. He actually talks to Glenda and they kind of go over what actually happened. And I guess before that moment, Glenda was, you know, very, I guess wasn't really processing what, you know, what she went through and what has happened. And I guess kind of that guilt maybe.
Well, it's fair. I feel like you're going in a shock because it's like I think it's one thing like believing or like, I guess, suspecting that someone could be a monster. It's different when it comes, you know, your worst fears come true.
Like you were right.
It's and like no one believed you.
Yeah. So yeah, he comes in and he basically, you know, does what he does, his job. And she does like open up and start crying and like yelling or whatnot. And that got to me because I'm like, just imagine being in that situation and, you know, yelling it out, telling people like, this guy is dangerous. This guy, you know, is doing some fucked up shit in there. I know it. And no one does anything about it.
Yeah.
So that was definitely intense.
Well, then also having someone come speak to you and just be like, I believe you. And like, I'm sorry that no one did anything about it. I feel like that would get to me too.
Yeah.
To be like, I was right this entire time. Did I want to be right? No.
Of course not.
but maybe if somebody listened to me beforehand like they're doing now,
they could have saved lives.
Exactly.
And even she said that. So that was mainly episode 7. I wrote down talking to the priest, ... Forgot his name.
I think one thing that I thought was kind of a little fucked up, because we just saw it from that episode, was the way her coworkers were like treating her at work, saying how like the situation was affecting her, like the work environment, and like the way people like were, one trying to get press with her, and
I forgot about
she was acting. And I'm like, do y'all realize that she literally was living next to a murderer that was consuming people? And obviously in the show, not in real life, but in the show, she could like hear him cutting people up. Like she could smell it.
Ugh.
She could hear for people screaming for help, fighting for their lives, because there was moments where it's like you could literally hear like it was like a fight going on, an altercation.
Yeah.
I'm like, she wasn't sleeping. Like that shit gets to people.
And you know what it reminded me of? There was one night, and I think it was in this episode. She called because there was like some, commotion going on where like you can clearly hear that they're fighting, like physically, and then you hear the yell for help. And she calls 911, and they're like, what's your emergency? She's like, I think there's like, a fight going on next door, yada, yada, yada. And they were like, can you go check? And I'm like, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. That's why I'm calling you. That's your job. And she's like, well, can you go check? And she's like, no, I'm not going to go check. Like, come on. Like, that's why we're calling you, so you can go check.
Especially when she's saying, I think someone's getting murdered.
Yeah.
Like, next door.
Like, well, can you go check? No.
Bitch, no. The fuck? Like, so stupid. I feel like that moment was just so crazy to me.
Mind-boggling. I was like, no.
Because I'm like, you're asking
that really a
civilian
question?
That's calling 911
to go do your assistance. Job. That is your job.
Oh my god.
I was like, is this a fucking joke right now? Oh my god. Anyways, so yeah, that was mainly episode 7. Episode 8 was going into Lionel's perspective in a way, or kind of what he started going through after the fact once Dahmer got caught, right? So you kind of just see his internal struggle, knowing that he kind of was like a shitty dad, right? Because he was really not home, and his wife had her own thing going on, and she did end up walking out on the family, or on Dahmer and her husband, because she did take her younger son with her.
Yeah.
So yeah, they kind of go over that, and you can tell that he's trying to, after the fact, like seeing how fucked up he is, or kind of what kind of person he is. In a way, he's trying to make up for that and help him now, and trying to make him plea, or say he's insane, when he even says like, I'm not insane. I'm not, or at least in the show he did.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not insane. Like, I know what I did. I know it's wrong, but I did it.
Because I know they did like a psych evaluation. Like I don't think they showed that in the show, but in real life they did when they ended up diagnosing him with like bipolar disorder, and then like some form of psychosis. But even with everything that they, diagnosed him with, they were like, nah,
you still were
like you're sound of mind to make the decisions that you did.
Yeah.
Like you're not crazy. You're just a killer.
Yeah. Especially when you don't show any like remorse.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so it was just him trying to help him out. And then I know at one point he was, because I think at one point he kind of wanted to blame just the wife for how he is, right? Because of the pills that she was taking during the pregnancy, and how that could fuck up the baby, and he was trying to blame it on her.
Well, because he even asked him, he was like, oh, like, why did you do this, when they were like in the interrogation room or whatever. And when Dahmer starts explaining like everything from the beginning, like from his childhood, his dad even like loses it, and he's like, "You cannot pin this on me. Like this is not my fault. I
Yeah.
didn't like.
Yeah.
Everything you did is not because of me."
Yeah. And you know what I thought was kind of funny, or not like funny. I mean, no, it's not funny, but but
It's not funny, haha.
it's not
It's just funny,
funny.
weird.
But like, I was happy with it because Lionel's present wife back then, she was even saying, because he was like, she was never around. She left him for months at the house, and the wife was like, and where were you? And I was like, but then she took it back because he got upset.
But we fucking started crying like little.
But then I was like, I'm glad you said it, because that was exactly what I was thinking. I was like, well then, bitch, where the fuck were you? Because yeah, the mom wasn't there, but where the fuck were you? You were out there trying to get another girl. You had a wife, I guess they weren't married then, but
like an estranged marriage or whatever.
Yeah, like you were trying to be with someone else instead of being there for your son. So you can't just pin this on one person because she wasn't there. Because if she wasn't there, you could have been there, and you just weren't.
Exactly. It takes a village to raise a child, not just one person.
Yeah.
So you can't blame just one individual for
how someone
turns up.
Yeah. Especially when you're, it takes two parents.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really happy with what she said. I was kind of like, oh, but then I was like, yeah.
I felt kind of
good,
upset when I saw how his dad and his new wife, or if whatever, were starting to be more involved with Dahmer once he got arrested. When I'm like, you could have, like, where was this energy in the beginning?
Yeah,
like it takes 17 people being murdered and then your son being convicted for you to finally be like, fuck, like, let me hang out with my buddy, let me spend more time with my son.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, you could have been doing that.
A little too late, buddy.
Exactly.
Yeah, but in this episode too, the mom, the biological mom of Dahmer, she did attempt to kill herself again, right? Because I remember he was like typing his book, and then his present wife, I forgot her name, but she comes in and she tells him like, oh yeah, she tried killing herself, but she's okay. But I remember like watching that episode because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the mom did write letters like to her younger kid, and then I don't know who she wrote the other letter to, but it basically stated that she, can't live with herself knowing that she created.
I think the other letter was to Dahmer, no?
To Dahmer?
I think so.
I don't know. I'm not certain, so I don't want to say who, but she did write a letter kind of saying why she's killing herself, or why she attempted to kill herself, because she couldn't live with the fact that she helped create someone like this. And then, not to mention like the effect that might have on them in their personal life, like people actually going up to them or fucking up, being rude to them, calling them shit, or, I don't know what they go through, but I'm sure it's
the
not.
father didn't give a fuck, especially since him and his wife were like over there writing a book, excited for like fucking deals and shit. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That whole scenario just pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're just taking advantage of the fact that people's lives were taken. And like, okay, yeah, your son's going to jail, but like, he deserves it.
Yeah. I don't know. That was like, I don't know. I'm just like, you were a shitty parent.
You are a shitty parent.
Like, there's just no way around it. And I know you're trying to redeem yourself, but like,
too late.
You could have done
in my opinion.
Years ago. Yeah. But I also like understand his frustration with like trying to help him in a way with like getting him jobs, getting him to do shit. And he just wasn't. He kept fucking up everything that he would try and get him into. But then again, it was like, yeah, he's trying to help, but he's also just trying to like kind of get rid of him, so he's not his responsibility in a way.
I think I think it's a matter of just thinking about the time that this was in.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the help that he was giving him wasn't help. It was just like, well, okay, you fucked up in this area. Like, let me just put you somewhere else, and maybe, it'll get you to turn out. Instead of like finding him professional help, like a therapist or someone to talk to at a young age.
Well, in this show, it did show that they did kind of go over, I'm not sure if this is factual or not, but they did go over how, I guess the dad wrote to, what do you call, like, the main person that's in charge of the prisons? Something like that.
I don't know.
The Warner?
The warden?
Warden. I think
the Warner?
The Warner? Warner Bros?
But I feel like even that then is, like,
I know, but
too late, you know? Because I feel like
was,
it should have been something that you should have been focusing on.
Well, I'm just trying to say, like,
age.
that was, like, his only attempt, if that's even true. Like,
I don't think
he tried to, like, get them to understand that he's not sane and he needs at least some sort of psychological help. And they told him that he would, and they never did. Because when he got out of jail, the dad asked Dahmer, like, hey, like, did they talk to you? Did someone, you know, come to you and help you, kind of guide you with stuff? And he was like, no, it was pretty cool. Like, he was chilling. And then that's when the dad started crying. Again, I don't know if this is true, like, you know, in real life, but in the show, that is what happened. And I think that was the only thing that I was like, I guess he tried, but even then, it's like, there could always be more that could have been done.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, especially when your kid's young and he's witnessing his mom try to
oh my god
kill herself multiple times and there's already issues at home, that should have been the beginning of when he's taking him to, like, therapy.
Yeah.
Or talking to someone, you know? Because that stuff affects you as a kid.
Yeah, so that was mainly episode 8, I believe. Do you want to go over episode 9 and 10?
Those are when episode 9 is when the trial starts, right?
Yes.
And that was heavy.
So episode 9 is where, episode 8 is where the trial kind of goes down, where they speak, all the victims' families speak and everything, and that's one that's one part that the series did get on point, I guess. That sister, what was the victim's name? Every time we did this in episode 1 too.
I think it's Errol Lindsay.
Yeah. So his sister, when she went up to the stand to give her
testimony or her final words,
her final words after everything, that was like something that was very on point, and that was also very controversial because when she herself didn't know that this series was happening, and she was, you know, kind of had a spotlight in one of the episodes, and everything was spot on, like from the hairstyle,
her outfit,
to the outfit, to the reaction, to the tone.
I think it was the same speech she gave. Everything,
same exact everything, and I was like, "Jeez!" And I even watched like the real one, and
same,
dude, it's the same thing. That was crazy. But yeah, that was part of episode 8 though. So 9 was more to do with Dahmer in prison.
Oh, when he starts to realize that he has the fan mail.
Yeah. Because I guess people start, I mean, this is a thing even before Dahmer, but people
it's a thing now. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's still a thing now. You know, they want pen pals, they want to, like, they admire and idolize serial killers and
romanticize them
and send them like these letters and drawings and stuff, and we'll send them money.
It's literally fan mail.
Yeah,
it's fan mail, and it's disgusting.
And he realizes, like, shoot, I got people that like me because of this, and I think after that he starts to kind of own up to the fact, like, yeah, this is what I did. And he starts kind of joking around about what he did. And
like, he would always his food into looking like human body parts, and then eating it in front of, like, his other inmates.
Yeah, and people would say, like, he used to, you know, have dark humor and kind of joke around and be like, "Be careful, I bite," because yeah,
man.
Not funny.
And I thought,
but yeah,
who was the I can't remember what episode it was, but he was talking about how he liked reading a comic book that was inspired or that was done about a killer. And then how he gets a fan letter even saying that they started doing a comic book about him.
And then didn't someone try and stop it from coming out? One of the family members, I think.
They tried to, yeah.
Right? But I guess they weren't successful with it.
Well, because no one was really kind of, I guess, respecting the family's wishes.
Yeah.
You know, people were, even, like I said, with the dad writing the book and with other people writing their own novels and coming out with, like, merch and stuff.
And
you
I mean,
know?
I guess you can't really stop anyone from creating their own content and basing it off something. Like, I feel like it's really hard to make a case against that. From that perspective, I'm like, it's kind of hard. But I
Yeah.
also get it because it's something that they have to go through. And not only that, but I'm sure, like, Dahmer makes money, you know, because people are
Using his name,
using his
face.
name, using his face. He's starting to get more fans, like, whatever you want to call it. Like, there's a benefit on his end.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's no benefit on the victims' families. So that's where the struggle is. But I don't think that there is technically anything that can really stop them from putting out, you know, things that they make up, comic books or whatever. I don't know. It's a rough one.
It's like that weird little line of like you. It's kind of hard to, because I mean, even look at us. Like we're doing this. You know, it's some.
So it's
form
like
of,
stopping us from doing that. Yeah. Oh my god, we're the bad guys.
I know.
Oh no.
I mean, we're not. It's not like we're doing this for money purposes. We're just doing this mainly just because it's like informative in a way.
And then episode 10. Are we missing anything from episode 9? I don't remember.
No, it was mainly just like I know a lot of people, like the inmates, didn't really know why he was there.
Oh, and then it was that
what was
what's his name? I had him right here.
Was it Charles or no?
Christopher.
Oh,
Christopher
fuck.
Scarver.
What the fuck did I get Charles?
He was also an inmate at that prison, and he was kind of, I guess he was intrigued to know what he did, right?
Well, because like we said, Dahmer was he was kind of making a fool of himself in prison. He thought he was like a jokester, a prankster. You know, he was messing with the other inmates, pulling pranks on them, making like a scene every time he was like in the lunch area,
right.
you know.
Put food on the
people's seats.
On the seats so people can sit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess he was.
I'm surprised he didn't get killed earlier
because of that.
Exactly. I feel like that would have just set somebody off.
Anything about it? Okay. Yeah, so I guess Christopher kind of went in and did some research as to what he did. Like, what was it that got him in? And he found out, like, the victims that he had, and most of them were predominantly Black, African American. And
the fact that like he consumed them.
And he consumed them, yeah. But I think what bothered him most is like, one, what he did, but also the fact that he was aiming more towards Black kids, Black male and gay, you know. So to him, I guess obviously it bothered him. And
not to say that he was a saint either, because he was also
he was in
for
there
2 counts of murder.
For one
count of murder. Oh yeah, his
for
boss.
1 count. Yeah. So we're not trying to idolize or make him sound like he's a good guy, because he's not. He's all. I mean, I feel like the listeners will know.
Yeah.
Like, he was in prison. I'm sure he's not a good guy in prison. I mean, although there are some.
Yeah.
We're not not to say there isn't. There isn't.
But this guy wasn't also
a saint.
Yeah.
But he did do us all a favor.
I'm like, man.
Was that too much?
No, I mean, he did what needed to be done. He did what should have been done.
Yeah. So he found out, what he did, and I guess episode 10 kind of goes over everything that happened.
Yeah,
you can go ahead and explain it.
He basically just starts doing his little detective work. Goes into like the systems library, asks the librarian for like newspaper clippings. It starts doing like little. I don't even know what those are called. It was just like a little time lapse where it was just showing all the different clips that he was looking and everything. Mm-hmm. And you could see how it was affecting him. Like, he was even crying about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how true this is, but in the show, at least, he was, like a man of God. I'm sure, I think maybe he found...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he went to church with Dahmer in prison.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, because all of a sudden, Dahmer just got into this idea of wanting to be religious.
Yeah. Well, I think I was reading something about that where he, which is kind of funny, he says that he found God after he committed, you know, he got caught and everything. He committed his atrocities, and he had an interview where he was saying he knew everything, that what he had done was wrong after he had gotten arrested. Which is more to just say, like, well, did you know that everything you did was wrong? Or are you just saying that because, like, you can't talk your way out of it this time, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because, you know, for 7 years he lived with his grandmother who was a Protestant, and she went to church every Sunday, very religious.
And he would never want to go.
He just didn't want to go. And he was just very, you know, anti-church, anti-religion, anti-God, like.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, goes to prison, finds Jesus.
Yeah.
You know? I guess trying to save his soul in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is fucking bullshit, because there was, I mean, at least in the show, the priest or someone that was writing to him was saying how, you know, they believed that with prayer and with repenting for his sins that he could be saved and sent to heaven.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's some bullshit, but all right.
Like, you know, I'm not religious, but I don't think you're welcome there.
I don't think you're welcome. I'm like, sir, no.
I'm sorry, like, not in my heaven. Or hell.
Like, just send him off. Send him to go be, like, reborn as, like, a flea or something. Like, I don't know.
He already was.
What?
He was a flea.
Little.
Just smack it.
Bop.
Oh. Sorry, guys.
Oh, man. But that episode was a trip, because I feel like we said, what was his name? Christopher
Scarver.
Really just needed to do what needed to be done. You know, he made it up into his own mind that he was gonna kill Jeffrey Dahmer for, you know, the sins that he had committed.
Yeah. Do you want to explain how he did it? Because I thought it was very fucking ironic.
You thought it was okay? I'll hear why you thought it was ironic, because I'm trying to think about that. I just thought it was kind of interesting. So I don't know how it happened in real life, but how they portrayed it was they were doing like a cleaning in like the gym. Mm-hmm. It was Jeffrey and I think his friend
something.
Jesse Anderson.
Yeah, Jesse Anderson.
And Jesse Anderson. And that
who was also a convicted murderer.
Yes, they were both assigned to clean the gym. And by some miracle,
they were unattended.
I see. When I was watching that, I wondered if it was on purpose.
That I don't know, but somehow they did end up in real life unattended.
Which I feel like
it was just them three.
They wouldn't do that. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not
very like
a prison guard. I'm not in the prison.
I was about to say I'm not really sure about the prison system. I know, like, obviously it's kind of fucked up.
But I feel like when you have multiple inmates in an area, you wouldn't want them to be,
especially that high profile.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think it was somehow.
I feel like it was an inside job.
All right. Allegedly.
That's all I'm saying.
Don't sue us. But I do think that maybe, you know, someone was paid off, or, you know, something happened, because there's no way that these killers, or, you know, Dahmer, who's a high profile, who was on the fucking People magazine.
Yeah.
You know, is going to be like unattended in a fucking prison. You know, I don't think that that's what would have happened.
And in the
as
show,
fucked up as the prison system can be, I don't think that kind of high profile killer would be unattended at any moment.
With other inmates.
Especially with other inmates.
And
like
in the show, the way that the guard kind of like looks at Dahmer for a second and then leaves the door, but the way he like continues to look at him as he's leaving, the whole time I was like, all right, something ain't right.
No, that was my initial thought as well.
So that kind of like made me wonder if maybe this was like a
inside thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it was.
But that was, I'm trying to remember the words that the actor or that Christopher used when he was facing Dahmer, where he said something about like, your God is a God of forgiveness, but my God is a God of vengeance.
Something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where and how he was saying that he was going to be the hand to act out.
Yeah.
On this righteousness against Dahmer.
Mm-hmm.
That for his crimes against, you know, God and to these men, he was going to be the one to enact the punishment that Dahmer deserved.
Yeah.
Which was death.
Mm-hmm.
And so he proceeded to take it was like a steel bar, wasn't it? Like from a weight?
Yeah, it was a weight. And what I thought was interesting was that Dahmer's first victim, he killed him with the weight. Like he smashed him with the weight.
Oh my God, I got chills.
Yeah. And so that was his death.
Oh,
his death was with the weight as well.
That's why you said.
That's why I'm like,
oh my God, I got chills.
When I saw that, I was like, interesting.
What goes around comes around. Maybe this was a
karma. I'm telling you, I believe in karma.
Messenger of God.
Prove me wrong. I believe in karma.
Angel of death.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
And he beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. All that
like
anger.
Oh my God. Like his face. I think there was a second where they showed his face in the show. And like,
oh my God,
that
yes,
shit it was fucking mangled.
Yeah.
Like it was fucked up.
It was fucked up. But
deserving.
Deserved. I'm like, but deserving.
And then he did end up killing the other guy that was there too, Jesse Anderson.
Although you don't see it in that episode, because he kind of goes into the bathrooms in there with Jesse.
You don't see it, but you kind of hear a little
Christopher
something.
and Jesse go into the bathroom stalls. I'm assuming, because you don't really see that. But Dahmer stays outside, cleans the machine and whatnot, and you just hear like some
shuffling,
like, you know, like grunts and whatnot. But you don't really know if that person is actually dead. But in real life, he did kill him.
It's kind of funny because it brings me back to Glenda, where Dahmer's kind of like in the perspective of Glenda, where he's hearing this happening.
Yeah, but he's not freaking out.
Well, his face, you can see it in his face, like he knows something's wrong, like something's up, which kind of made me think back to like Glenda, where she was kind of just like,
I know something's
I can't
up.
see it,
yeah,
but I know something's up.
Yeah,
like something's gonna happen. And then back with Dahmer, it's like he's listening, he can't see it, but he knows that something's going down and probably coming, you know, to get him, which does happen. But man, that was a trip. And then, yeah, he ends up getting cremated. His body ends up getting divided between both of his parents.
Yeah.
And then it turns into a trial to figure out what they're going to do with his brain.
Oh, yeah, because
his
the
dad
mom...
Yeah. His dad assumed that they were just going to cremate the whole thing.
Yeah.
But his mom really wanted them to do, like, send his brain over to Stanford. And do, like, a science... Because they did that with John Wayne Gacy.
Yep.
Which they ended up finding out that his brain was normal. There was no abnormalities. It's not like there was like a imbalance or something that made him this fucking psycho killer.
Yeah.
It was just a fucking brain. It was just a normal human, I guess, quote unquote normal human brain. And his mom really wanted them to do like studies on it, see if maybe there was something, like, I guess she wanted answers in a way. But I guess the judge, good on him. He was like, no, why would we want to study the mind of this like sociopath when just give everybody peace, like let his memory die. Especially, I mean, like the family's victims or the victims' families.
I don't know. I think there's a lot that we can learn in that area, especially to be able to diagnose or to kind of see like this person could be potential danger without actually having to create such, you know, terrible acts. So, I mean, I get it. Like, maybe we're not there now, but I think eventually, you know, I hope that there's something that we can do to prevent, you know, someone from creating harm to anyone before they even do it. So, I get the whole like study thing and wanting to study their brain. I do also understand like it is a dead brain. So how is that different from a living brain? And can you actually tell when it's a dead brain? You know, when you do studies, like, because I think the dad was mentioning like, what's the point of doing a study on a dead brain? Like he's dead, you know? So I'm like, that's a good point. I don't know how that would work. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. But
no, that's a good point. I feel like that makes sense.
Because I mean, like maybe not now, but maybe in the future, you know, there's a way that we can prevent any of this from happening before like someone's first act, you know? I don't know. There's a lot that could be unknown. Yeah. But yeah, so that was I think that's the
basically
end
the
of the Dahmer
episodes.
series.
Yeah.
And
something that I thought was actually kind of interesting, though, to point out was since I mentioned John Wayne Gacy, was how Dahmer. I was wondering if that was real, like the whole.
It was real.
If Dahmer and was baptized the same day that John Wayne Gacy was executed, with the solar eclipse happening all at the same time, because that whole scene kind of felt very like, I don't know,
too perfect,
or too coincidental.
Yeah,
like it just felt very like something's up.
Yeah. So on the last episode, they did go over. They started introducing John Wayne Gacy, and when I saw that, I was like, "Wait a minute!"
And Ed Gein,
and I was like, "What's going on? Like, why? What?" And then they started explaining like how he got the lethal injection the same day that Dahmer got baptized, and then that eclipse thing. So that was interesting because I didn't know that, beforehand.
Yeah,
I didn't know any relation with Gacy and Dahmer. That was interesting. And it was true. It all happened at the same time.
I know. I was looking up. I literally was Googling like solar eclipse dates, making sure everything like kind of lined up. I was looking up like when he supposedly got baptized, because there's like people are like, I guess, questioning if he ever did, but I guess he did.
But you know what it had me wondering? Is Netflix gonna make a John Wayne Gacy series? I know they already have like a documentary style, but are they gonna make a series like the Dahmer one that they made? Because because John Wayne Gacy in that series, in the Dahmer series, was really unsettling.
Oh, and he looked.
He just made me like feel disgusted.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they kind of will. Maybe. Who knows?
What's your theory?
Why? Because they originally did the Ted Bundy series.
Oh, that's right.
Was that with Netflix?
I don't know. Or was that with Hulu? No, that's Netflix.
Okay, because there was the Ted Bundy series with Zac Efron.
Zac Efron.
That one, of course, like blew up, and I'm assuming it's because of like they have like the household names like Zac Efron, Evan Peters. Like these are two really prolific like male actors that are well known and people want to see them.
Yeah.
And with the Dahmer series kind of blowing up, I don't see why they wouldn't do something with John Wayne Gacy, especially because that one is also a very well-known case.
High profile, yeah.
Or if they do one on Eddie Gein, because they also mentioned him and how he was similar to, or how Dahmer was similar to Ed Gein.
Yeah. I don't know, but the John Wayne Gacy in the series was so fucking unsettling to me. I was like,
God.
Oh God, this guy's so disgusting.
When they did his clips, like his little scenes, my stomach was like turning. I feel like
the whole time I was like this.
I don't even know if I'd be able to watch something like that if they did one on him.
I mean, I'll watch it.
I mean, I probably would because we would probably talk about it.
Yeah.
But like either way.
But I won't be happy about it.
I'm probably gonna just be sitting there like with a bucket next to me the whole time, kind of like.
Yeah, that's how it usually goes.
Man,
that's how it usually goes.
Just like turning away, but also like keeping one eye on the TV.
Do you think the Ted Bundy Netflix show was as controversial and high profile as this Dahmer series?
From what I remember when I watched it, I don't think I heard as much controversy like about it online. But again, I feel like we're in a time where a lot of
people like hype or I don't know, like
I didn't hear much about it.
Yeah,
I think literally the only reason I heard about it and the only reason I watched it was because of my brother and like his wife.
Yeah,
because they normally keep me up to date on like what's hit, or like what to watch.
And they're older than you.
Yeah. I got stuff to do.
Yeah,
but they normally Monica's the one that's like, oh, did you watch this? Did you see this? And I'm like, girl, the fuck? No, like I haven't. What are you talking about? I barely have time to like breathe, let alone
busy.
I'm a busy person. But yeah, I don't remember. I'm trying to think. I don't remember much about it.
Because I don't remember that either. The only reason why I watched it was because I guess when it came out, you know how they do the top 10 or on Netflix. Most popular, and it would show up, and I was like, ooh, Ted Bundy. Zac Efron? Okay. Sure.
Be like, say less.
That was like my little kid crush.
Still is.
Well, yeah. He's all right. I don't know. Just my thought, my opinion. But yeah, so that's the only reason why I watched it. But it wasn't as like talked about, or I feel like it wasn't as talked about as the Dahmer series.
Yeah, no. Because
So
I'm
that
like,
was
this one's like everywhere. It's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah.
Like whether you like it or hate it, like everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then another thing the first episode, I talked about how the cops they weren't reinstated. Turns out, again, I don't know, because I saw one article that said that they weren't, and then I just saw another article that said they were reinstated, but it was like months later.
Mm-hmm.
Like this took, I'm assuming, it's going to take some time, especially when they're going through the trials and everything. So apparently it was months and months later that they were finally reinstated to their positions as police officers for the Milwaukee police. But the scene where they did get the what was it, Officer of the Year award, that was fake.
Mm-hmm. I know that seemed a little too
supposedly
overreached.
What they were trying to do with that whole scene was to show that even though that didn't happen, in a way they never were really punished and kind of in a way rewarded, because one of the officers, again, I don't know if this is like how true this is what I read in an article, he got promoted to chief of the Milwaukee Union, like for like the police in that area.
Yeah.
So they chose to film it that way to kind of show that even though, they weren't given an award, they weren't
they were still awarded somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is still fucked up.
I'm like, honestly, yeah.
And I remember when we talked about it, I was like, that shit fucking pissed me off. And then you told me that they weren't reinstated, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't feel as bad. But now I'm like, no, I'm back at it.
Now I'm mad.
I'm fucking mad.
I'm so mad.
Because, yeah, I'm like, how can you just bring someone back knowing damn well that they brought the victim back to their fucking killer?
And knowing that you didn't really do your job, if I'm being honest, because you didn't do any like background checks. You didn't you were just like, oh, it's your boyfriend? Okay. Meh.
Like I said, I think even I could do a better, I think I could do a better job.
I mean, if I was trained and I had protocols set, and if I was a cop and I was like, all right, this is what I have to do.
Listen, I feel like we can do a better job even if we're not even fucking trained. Like right now, if they put us on the fucking street and we go and go to a call like that where this kid is in distress and, bleeding and all like fucked up, and there's this guy, which I'm already like suspect. Okay. Suspect. And he's like, oh no, that's my boyfriend. I was like, oh yeah, prove it. When was he born? What's his birthday? Where does he live?
Well, I would just be like, I'm not handing him back to you if he's bleeding. I'm taking him to the hospital.
Oh, yeah, I for sure wouldn't.
Or I'm calling 911 so that they can take him to the hospital.
But I mean, what I'm saying is, like, I wouldn't bring him back to that guy's apartment because of hearsay, because he says that it's my boyfriend. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And again, like Glenda said, and again, she should have been the fucking detective here. Like, I'm serious, because she was even like, well, aren't you going to check his ID? Aren't you going to like background, aren't you going to do anything? And they didn't. They just handed him back because it was, quote unquote, a gay thing. It was boyfriend on boyfriend thing.
Yeah. And they were even getting mad at her. They were like, ma'am.
Go fuck yourself.
They're like, we're handling this. I'm like,
no, the fuck you're not.
Like, excuse me?
Yeah. That was
stupid.
Anyways. Yeah, that part pisses me off, pisses everyone off. So.
Well, I mean, I was thinking, since we already talked about it, maybe, who knows? Possibly, we might talk about the Ted Bundy series, since that was, he was also a pretty well-known killer.
Yeah, and hold on. So it's said, a pretty good-looking one. I'm not trying to say that I think he's good-looking, but back in the day, he was obviously,
I guess back in the day, he was
eye
a hot commodity.
Yeah,
because I saw some pictures, and I was like, I don't know about that. But then again, different time. I don't know. I look at pictures of my dad when he was in like the 70s, and I'm like, he's like, I was hot shit, and I was like, I don't know about that.
Not today, but
I know. I was like, Papa, no.
All right.
Papa, no.
Yeah,
So
but
I guess it's all just a
we
matter
can even
of
do like the.
time.
We can also do the O.J. Simpson one.
Oh shit!
And we can all say whether we believe he did it or not.
Yeah. Or the Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh my God! Can we talk about that one?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, honestly, like I'm down to talk about that one because that shit was insane. Have you watched the series?
I saw, yeah,
You did?
but I don't remember it that much because it's been months.
We should rewatch that and
All
we
right,
should
stay
talk
tuned
about
for
it.
November, guys. It's gonna be
It's gonna be fucking upsetting.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know the right word to use for that.
I know.
It's gonna be disturbing.
Who knows? There might be more true crime than books next month.
Listen, I'm a busy person.
It's harder to read a lot more books with the life that we have.
Yeah,
it's hard. But
however, this book is gonna be a good one that we're talking about for next episode.
Yeah. So for next episode, we are going to be talking about Dark and Shallow Lies
by Ginny Myers Sane.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. So and you said this is a YA book, right?
Yeah, it says like the age range was for like high school kind of. And it's a quick read. Like I think it's over 300, 400 chapters. I mean pages, but
I was like, imagine. What? Just
I think it's like over 400 pages. But if you actually look at the way that the word spacing is, like it's pretty big.
It's like 416 pages.
Yeah, but if you were to condense everything, it would be like under 300 pages.
Yeah, there's a lot of spacing in here.
A lot of spacing. And then a lot of like filler pages that just have like, it's literally like a blank page and then just a page with like 4 lines of text.
Yeah.
So you could I think this is like a two-day read, honestly.
Yeah, so this book is going to be our next episode. I don't remember what number it is.
4? Yeah.
4, episode 4.
Wow, the end of a month.
Yeah, we're going to finish it off all thrillery.
I know. Spooky Halloween.
Spooky Halloween. Yeah, I'm excited. But anyways, we'll let you guys go do your own thing. Go to work. Don't be late. Get your coffee. Get your tea. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Oh, that right.
Good job.
Get your coffee. Get your tea. We'll see you next week. Oh, my God. All right, guys. All right. Don't forget, if you are on Spotify, swipe up. You'll see a question. Okay, what do you guys want us to talk about next?
Let aggressive.
Us know. Well, because I want to make sure that we're talking about things that they want us to talk about.
Let us know.
So you can either do that, you can email us, you can DM us on Instagram.
Hit us up on TikTok.
And even our personal pages, you can DM us on there, on TikTok. Don't be afraid, we don't bite. Oh my God. Oh no.
My face when you said that, I was like,
no pun intended.
Oh no.
Anyways.
A little soon.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week for the book episode.
Ooh, all right.
Bye.